Greetings, peace and blessings. We are back with our next lesson on the understanding of the I Ching. This lesson will involve a very important process. And I say this process is very, very, very important because it is the difference between understanding and not understanding what the oracle is saying to you. We've done an introductory video and we've done 3 videos to kind of get you going in understanding the I Ching. We talked about the nature of the oracle. We've talked about the history of the I Ching itself. We've talked about the hexagrams, etc., that you will find when you're working with the oracle. And I'm doing it this way because I want it to be as thorough as possible, as if I'm teaching a class or a workshop, which I am available to do. And these are the topics. These are the items that would be covered in a workshop that I would present to you for your understanding and to enhance your ability in using the oracle. I started using the oracle 30 years ago, and it has really been a benefit to my life. I learned about the oracle in 1981 during a time when I was searching, which I do all the time, so that was just one of those cycles of searching. And I came across a group called the Oser or Set Society. And while there, I met a young man named Mensa. His full name is Atef Mensa at this time. And he took a lot of time with me in teaching me and helping me to understand the process of the oracle. But he challenged me, and I appreciate that challenge to this very day. And that challenge was not to be lazy, but to read each hexagram, all 6 lines, and if there were changing lines, to read the whole other hexagram, all 6 lines. And in doing that, I began to memorize the oracle reading. Funny thing about it was, he didn't give me an easy book to work with. He gave me the Wilhelm Baines book to work with, which was the book that they were using in the Oser Set Society. And in utilizing that book, not only was I forced to use my intuition, but I was also forced to read it over and over again in order to gain some knowledge of what the images were about. So I wanted to just send out a little shout out to Mensa for being my preliminary I Ching teacher. At that time, you can imagine what, 30 years ago, the I Ching was not very popular during those days, and there weren't a lot of books that you could pick up. There was a book by Legge, there was a book by Wilhelm Baines, and there were some other very cryptic books that had been written in the English language, and there wasn't much that was available. And going to a Chinese store and asking for the I Ching, I was told that that was something that their great-great-grandfather did, and that they don't do that anymore. And then finally, how do you know about it? And that kind of thing. And then being surprised that I would have the information that I had about it in my mind's view. And so that was an interesting experience to be told by a Chinese person that it wasn't something that they readily used. I got the impression again that it was just something that the elders used, and as over time, as it is with any ancient book, unless it's continually utilized throughout the process of the society developing and growing, it can become quote-unquote archaic, and only those who have memories of those days of yore will pull it out, you know, like the way they'll pull out the old Bible where they have all these newfangled Bibles that you can read. And so in doing that and working with Wilhelm Baines, because I never could understand Legge, so working with Wilhelm Baines, I was able to work with the images and the judgment, and then to look at the lines. I was able to watch the lines progress from the bottom to the top. I was able to appreciate why they progressed that way and why the changing lines were there for us to have, for me in particular, to get even further insight into what was going on with the oracle. So this lesson is important because I want to stress how necessary it is to ask the correct questions. What questions do you ask? How do you ask the questions? When do you ask the question? The questions, if they are posed in the correct way, and I use that term relatively, but if they're composed in a certain way, you'll get an answer that will make sense to you. Because if you write a question down that you don't even understand what you're trying to ask, then the answer that you get is not necessarily going to make any sense to you. What you want to do is really meditate on how you want to ask your question, what it is that you want to know, and then move from there. However, the posing of the question, the language in the question is extremely important for understanding and developing a relationship with the oracle. In the beginning, you may only have to ask 1 or 2 questions. For me, after 30 years, I have to sit and ask several questions before I get to what I really want to know, because they will take me on a journey, and the oracle is good for taking you on a journey. So you want to ask, if a situation comes up, whatever it is, one of the most standard questions that you can ask is, please comment on this situation, and lay it out. You ask about one thing at a time. If you say, please comment on, I went to the market and when I got my groceries, the lady gave me a little bit of my change and she didn't put all of my food in the container, and when I left I got in the car and there was a dent in my car and the person who crashed into my car didn't stop. If you go on like that, then you're going to get an answer that's going to go like that. Okay, so we're going to probably part 1, part 2, and part 3 of how to ask the questions of the oracle, simply because we don't have a lot of time. So you want to ask them to comment on the situation surrounding the transference of monies from the cashier to me today. Okay, just that in that situation. Then you want to ask, how did I view that situation? Because sometimes we see it one way when in fact we see it another way. So we ask, how did I view that situation? Just to get an idea where you were in it. And then you ask, how should I have viewed it? If you go to the oracle and say, is she lying? Is she stealing my money? Is he cheating on me? Am I going to pass the test? Am I going to get rich? Is this business going to make me famous? The oracle just smile and say questions like, is that the business that you're supposed to be in? Is that the business that your soul came here for you to do? And the oracle asks, cheating, was that a mental cheating or a physical cheating? Which one did you mean? And the oracle will say, and what is a lie? Is a lie because you think it's a lie, or is it a lie because it's something that's different from truth? Is a lie always different from truth? And so you'll find yourself going on a journey with the oracle. You'll be like, I want an answer. I don't want philosophy. I want an answer. And so the oracle will say, oh, little grasshopper, be still and get this answer under your belt, because any other answer you're not going to be able to handle. Okay, so please just take your time and listen. So yes and no answers, never. Okay, you're talking to me. I'm talking to you, Nana Bakine. Been working with the Oracle for 30 years on a regular basis, taught classes, have students, clients who utilize the Oracle, and we all know yes and no is not the way to go with the I Ching. What's going to happen tomorrow? Not a good question. How should I conduct myself tomorrow while attending our staff meeting? Now there you have a good question. Am I going to be rich? What can I do to apply myself to enhancing my financial situation? What can I do to apply myself? And what am I doing to stand in the way of my advancement? Not what is Joe doing or what is Sarah doing. What are you doing? If you're in a conflictual relationship, you feel the relationship is conflictual. What is he doing or she doing to cause conflict? Not a good question. In fact, those are the kinds of questions that you'll cross your eyes like this and ask, how am I supposed to understand this answer? And so we're going to talk about how you pose questions, how you get yourself together, how you think about the situation before you even start to ask, how you sit down, and how you make assessment before you begin to ask, because the Oracle is not a toy. You don't play with the Oracle. You can play with it if you want to, but you'll find yourself not being very enthusiastic about using it, because the answers that you'll get will be sort of like, well, you're playing, well, you must not be serious. So if you're serious, then you want to make sure that you come forward as a serious person. So we're going to move into this again, talking more about what kinds of questions to ask in our next video. And I thank you so much for watching. I know it's taking a little while, but it's all for the best. Peace and blessings.